All right, so everyone has 1.1, finding and describing patterns. Read the objective, didn't write it down. Awesome. All right, so here's the first example. If you could draw these real quick, it'll only take a second. We're not grading your artistic ability. It's just good to have some visuals in there. I find drawing to be a bit relaxing myself, but we'll give you a few seconds to do that. And then our question says, how many sides will the next figure have? So we are trying to notice what's happening each time you're drawing a new figure, and then guess how many the next one will have. And we'll see if we all agree. Let's give everyone a couple minutes to draw. Let's give everyone a couple minutes to draw. All right, so before we share what we think the answer might be, how many sides, the question is about sides, so that's what we should be paying attention to. How many sides does the first figure have? 3. How many sides does the second figure have? 4. How many sides does the next figure? Okay, so what is happening if you're just looking at those numbers? What's going on each time? It's going up by 1. So I can assume the next figure will also go up by 1 side. How many sides will it have? 7. Do I need to draw it?
No.
I do not. Don't do extra work. Don't do more than you have to. Just answer the question that they're asking. How many sides will it have? 7. Boom. Done. So for this one, let's just write the numbers. You don't have to write the directions. I am going to read you the directions, so it says describe the pattern in the numbers. So you don't have to finish the pattern. You don't have to guess what the next number is. We're just describing it using words. So from a 3 to a 6 to a 9 to a 12 to a 15 to an 18, what's going on? Yep, so you could put adding 3. You could put going up by, look, you could even write out 3. You could have the plus sign and then a 3. Those all mean the same thing to me, okay? I'm not super picky how you answer it. Pick one and go with it. All right, as you're catching up, I want you to try part B. Part B is my favorite pattern in the whole wide world because it's awesome. Nope. I mean, which red? The box that says describe? You just need to pick one of these. One of those is the answer. They're all pretty much the same thing, just worded a little different. Okay, so part B is my favorite pattern in the whole world because there's 2 ways to describe it, and they're both very different, and they both work. Anyone having ideas? All right, if you don't know, just focus in on 2 numbers at a time. So what's one way to get from 1 to 4? You could add 3. Okay. Or you can multiply by 4, right? Okay. Now focus on the 4 and the 9. How could I go from 4 to 9? You could add 5. I don't think the multiplying is going to hold up here, right? So we can sort of, that was a nice idea, but it's probably not going to be multiply. Okay, how can I go from a 9 to a 16? Go up 7. How can I go from a 16 to a 25? Okay, are you noticing a pattern within the pattern?
It's odd numbers.
Yeah, so when you are describing your pattern, you could say add, increasing, I'm missing a, increasing odd numbers. That's the number symbol, not the hashtags.
Hashtag math.
Exactly. All right, so I think that's probably the easiest one to see. We're just adding the increasing odd numbers, or you could say like adding odd numbers going up each time. However you want to describe it. Once again, we're not going to be super picky. We can usually figure out what you're trying to say. If you use certain words like odd and add, that's really what we're looking for. Now, I did say this was my favorite pattern ever because there's another way we could describe this. So this is sort of the most popular answer. Does anyone think they notice another thing that's happening? Do you guys remember what it means to square a number? It's when you multiply it by itself. What's 1 times 1?
1.
What's 2 times 2?
4.
What's 3 times 3?
Oh.
I know! Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And if you continued on, if we add 13, we get 49. And if you do 7 times 7, you still get 49. It's amazing, isn't it? So if you want to be extra fancy, you could say, these are the perfect squares. But, that's just a little extra. If you're feeling extra on a Monday morning, you could put that one. Any questions? All right, you do not need to write these down. I'll give you guys a break. So you just put your pencils down and then help me figure out what's going on in this one. So number 3, any ideas? We're still just describing.
Pie charts.
So you're adding, let's try to combine your answers. So yes, you're adding a slice to a pie. That's an easy way to say it. Now, if I was presenting this in front of a group of math teachers, I'd probably be more sophisticated than adding a slice to a pie. But you know what it means. I know what it means. We're good to go. Number 4, how could you describe that one?
A sun.
Sun.
Shaded one of spiky side. Going counterclockwise.
Okay, I'm going to put it all together. So a sun with a, can we call that a ray?
Yes.
Geographically, that's not what a ray is, but I'd call that a ray of the sun.
Point.
Sun with a, that's bad. No, point's another geometry term.
You know what it means?
I know what it means. You know what it means. Okay, sun with a ray that's shaded, rotating, and then you said another, how would you describe that direction? Counterclockwise. Perfect. All right. Can everyone agree on that one? I think that's pretty, again, maybe not the most sophisticated math answer ever, but it works for us. Number 5.
28.
We are describing the pattern.
28.
That would be completing the pattern. How did you get to 28?
4, 8, 12, 16, 20.
So what are you doing each time?
By 4.
So adding 4. Good. Awesome. And then number 6, what's happening to each of those? I need more words.
Oh, it's going down by 5.
Subtracting 5. Good.
I believe I took the answer.
So careful though, because if you are saying what the next number would be instead of describing what's going on, you'll get some points, but you won't get all the points. Okay, so make sure you're describing what's happening, not just saying what the next number would be. What are your questions on these?
Why are they easy?
Because it's the first day of class?
Oh yay, we get to get a free A+.
I sure hope so. All right, number 7.
It's going right.
Do you guys feel like being artsy?
Up, left, down.
No? All right, then just follow along on the board. So we have a gray arrow going up, a black arrow going left, a gray arrow going down,
A black arrow going right.
a black arrow going right. So there's sort of 2 things you got to keep track of. What color is the arrow? It's going gray, black, gray, so it's going to be black. And then you can tell it starts, and then it sort of goes, again, counterclockwise. So if we were going down, now we're going right. We were gray, now we're black.
That's not how you color it in. It's colored in like this.
I do believe that it would be teacher's choice on this, and I'm going to go ahead and color it in this fashion. All right, any questions on this example? All right, I'm going to let you pick one. Pick one and do it, and then we'll do both of them on the board. So now you're doing actually the next step. So we were describing the patterns previously, but now you're also listing the next 2 numbers.
322.
Hold on, we're working on them quietly in our notebooks right now. You get to pick. And then we'll do both on the board. So pick one. Describe the pattern in words below it, like adding 25 or subtracting 14 or whatever you happen to be doing. And then we're going to fill in the next 2 numbers. How would you describe the pattern?
11, 21, 48, 81, 161, 332, and then 644.
What?
So what did you do each time?
Shh. 11 plus 11 equals 21. 21.
Hold on, 11 plus 11 would be 22.
Dude, what the heck is on there?
That's what I'm asking you.
11, 21, 41. You're pretty much adding 10 plus 10, 20 plus 20, 40 plus 40.
So here you're adding 10. Here you're adding 20.
I was like, oh.
Here you're adding 40. Here you're adding 80. Okay, so before we come up with an answer, how would we describe that?
We got one back here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I did was I just added the first number by 2 and counted 3 and behind.
So you added the number in the tens place, and then you just kept the 1. Okay.
So you subtracted 1.
Yes.
And added it.
I think that's a good way to describe it. Do you guys see that? Like the number was 11, but we added a 10. The number was 21, and then we added a 20. So what you do first is you subtract 1, then add the new number. That's tricky. So this is how I would describe it. So this is one answer. You need that if you want full credit if the directions say describe the pattern. Okay, so if we're at 161, what would I add? So take 1 away from 161 and you get 160. When you add 160, what do you get? You may use a calculator. Not a
I
phone
have a calculator
calculator.
on my phone that
You're not
little-
allowed to use phone calculators during lessons.
You're smart because I have an app of a calculator.
Is it what? I think it is 321. Can anyone agree with that? Is that what you got? Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. So subtract 1. What would that be?
320.
320, and then let's add 320.
I was one off. I thought you were adding like 11 plus 11.
Yep.
I would have gotten it right.
This is 641. Very good. Any questions? Part B looks a little tricky too. Does anyone feel like they've gotten part B?
You're just going to point at me since I'm just going to be smart.
I have not pointed at anyone. I feel like for my first YouTube video and my new channel, this is really going to knock it out of the park. Okay, it looks like the numbers are going down. Ways to go down in math are typically, if you're using whole numbers, division and subtraction. So if you have a calculator handy, can you type in 311 minus 297? Tell me what you get. Did you get something?
Nah,
14.
Okay, then I need you to hold off on it. So you're telling me that I can subtract 14 and go from here to here.
Yes.
Now, I don't immediately know a way to divide and go from 311 to 297, so I'm just going to hope the minus 14 is going to be fruitful. What is 297 minus 14?
283.
Oh, good. Whew. Okay, what is 283 minus 14? Is it 269?
Yes.
Yes. Woo, good. Okay, if you subtract 14 again, do you get 255?
Yes.
Good. So do you see how I thought I knew what was happening, but I used the different numbers to check myself? It seemed like on the previous example, some of you were just finding the way to go from the first number to the second number and just assuming that's what you did every time. That's why we give you more than 2 numbers so you can test to see if your pattern is actually working. So here the minus 14 seems good. So to describe my pattern, I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I'm going to put the minus sign and the number 14. The pattern has been described. Now, what is 255 minus 14? 241? And can we do 241 minus 14? All right. Raise your hand if you have any questions on what's on the board. So now it says we're still just describing. That's interesting. So describe the pattern. What is happening in number 9? So it's the shaded pointy part? Triangle? Let's say triangle because we're in geometry class. Shaded triangle,
Counterclockwise.
rotating, counter or regular?
Counter.
This is regular clock. It goes in the direction of a clock. So clockwise. Good. Everyone agree on that? Number 10. I don't know how to describe that. So you're drawing.
Diamond inside. Basically, it's getting smaller. The square and diamond are getting smaller.
So each time you're drawing a square.
And diamond.
I don't know if I like the term diamond. I feel like it's just a square rotated. Right? Like if you turn your head like that, that's still a square, right? Diamond is not really a geometric term. I know what you mean, but I can't write diamond. I'm sorry, I just can't. Okay, so you're drawing a square inside another square. Okay, I think, again, this isn't super technical, but I'm going to go ahead and agree that we're pretty much just drawing a square inside another square each time.
That's rotated.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have to write
So, hold on. I think, just answer this one. I think I'm going to redo the way I do these this year. So, just write me one sentence, a complete sentence about what we learned today. So today, and you can just end your notes with this every day. Today we learned about, what did we learn about? Patterns. Done. Okay? And then I'm going to give you time on the other two. So if anyone has any questions, now would be the time to ask. And then I just want you to take a second and think about what might this look like on a test. You don't have to write it, just think about it. So on a test, I could ask you to describe a pattern. I could ask you to finish a pattern. Those are pretty much the two questions that we had today. So make sure before test time you can describe patterns using words like add 4, subtract 10, and that you can finish patterns using both shapes and numbers, okay? But the only part that actually needs to be written in your notes is this sentence. What did we learn today? Today we learned about patterns. And when we grade your notes, we look for the actual notes, we look for the summary, just that one sentence summary, and then we also look for how we're going to start class tomorrow, which is highlighting your notes, okay? So make sure you bring these notes back tomorrow.
And I would set it up something with where you have your summary, either do bullet points or numbered, and then we can see that you did it.